In the 1930s and 40s, fascism brought us the Holocaust and World War II. Germany and Italy got What was that? Anyway, back to fascism. Germany and Italy had broken fortune-telling devices and got taken in by a political cult of personality. Even though the writing...
Welcome back to the nation's capital, where our movement is thriving, fighting, winning, and dominating Washington like never before. Nobody's ever seen anything like this before.
Again? Really? Anyway, even though the writing was on the wall, or in the book in Hitler's case, the people chose to be blind to the truth, which allowed Hitler to...
The fraudsters, liars, cheaters, globalists, and deep state bureaucrats are being sent packing.
Oh, for sake. Which allowed Hitler and Mussolini to enact policies that were detrimental to the country and caused crushing effects on the world for generations to come. Let's take a look at...
The illegal alien criminals are being sent home. We're draining the swamp and we're restoring government by the people, for the people.
What the I'm trying to be all educational and shit, and the fucking president keeps interrupting me. Anyway, let's review 10 hallmarks of fascism and how the Nazis began implementing them. Hopefully, the Orange Menace...
For years, Washington was controlled by a sinister group of radical left Marxists.
As I was saying, hopefully His Majesty Donald Trump stops interrupting. Hallmark 1. Nationalism. German nationalism was built on the idea that the Aryan race was superior. Of course, Germans make up this Aryan race, so German society members are superior to everyone else. Superior people deserve a superior leader. All German-speaking people should be under one ruler. This involved the annexation of Austria and other territories. It's easy to see how this nationalism was the foundation of World War II. Hallmark 2 is militarism.
But on November 5th, we stood up to all the corrupt forces that were destroying America. We took away their power. We took away their confidence. They lost their confidence, you know? Do you ever watch? They lost their confidence. Oh, it's so nice to watch. And we took back our country.
At least I finished the entire nationalism section before he blasted in. Okay, so now, Hallmark 2 is militarism. After World War I, the Treaty of Versailles limited German military power. They raised an army, the Wehrmacht, and made it a central pillar of the party. The World War II-era German government also made a ton of military goods. They used this military might to bully other countries. Hallmark 3 is suppression of opposition.
We need him. You know, there's a number on autism as an example with children, autism. And you go back 15 years, it was from 10 to 20,000. Now it's 1 in 36 babies have autism. There's something wrong. Bobby is going to find it, working with Dr. Oz, by the way. On our first day in office, we declared a national emergency at our southern border. We deployed a group of people, active duty troops, to defend our border and repel the invasion of our country. This was an invasion, but their members and their leaders in the United States will be hunted down. I'm talking about MS-13 there. Nicaragua. Rooted out, arrested, and expelled from our soil like the savage monsters that they are. To facilitate the mass removal of criminal aliens, I also issued an executive order to make available the full capacity and detention. We're going to use Guantanamo Bay. We have a detention facility that's actually massive. Nobody even knew it existed. Holds thousands of prisoners. We never used it. And as you know, many years ago, Jimmy Carter gave away the Panama Canal. We gave it to Panama. We're going to take back the Panama Canal.
Seriously? In every fucking section? Anyway, Hallmark 3 is suppression of opposition. The World War II-era German government had a secret police force, the Gestapo. These dudes imprisoned political rivals. Oppositional political movements such as communism and socialism were suppressed with violence. Hallmark 4 is a controlled economy.
What do we like better, Crooked Joe or Sleepy Joe? Ready? Ready? Crooked Joe or Sleepy? Ready? Crooked Joe. Sleepy Joe. Gotta stay with Crooked. We're removing all of the unnecessary, incompetent, and corrupt bureaucrats from the federal workforce. That's what we're doing. Organized government. I pardoned hundreds and hundreds of Biden's political prisoners, including Christians, pro-life activists, and the J6 hostages who were treated terribly for years. We even got rid of people like Pete Buttigieg, who did the worst job of anybody in the history of transportation. What a bunch of losers. I revoked the security clearances of Anthony Blinken, Jake Sullivan, John Brennan, James Clapper, and every non-patriot who lied to cover up Hunter Biden's laptop from hell. We took away their security clearances.
Why does he keep doing that? Why does Trump give a shit what I'm saying? Hallmark 4 is a controlled economy. In World War II era Germany, everything, and I mean everything, went through a government-controlled central planning agency. Central Works projects put the unemployed back to work, and businesses that did not align with the government's goals were forced out of business. Hallmark 5 is a cult of personality.
Thinking we're going to have so much money coming in from tariffs. Oh, you're going to say, your senators and your congressmen are going to say, please, sir, please. You're making us look so bad. We have so much money coming in. I didn't know this was going to happen. Please don't do this to us. We look very bad. To crush inflation by slashing spending, I imposed an immediate federal hiring freeze, a federal regulation freeze, and a foreign aid freeze. We're given to countries that hate us. And I signed an order creating the Department of Government Efficiency. You probably haven't heard of it, which is now waging war on government waste, fraud, and abuse. And Elon is doing a great job. To further turbocharge our economy, we have launched the most aggressive deregulation program in any nation's history. And we're also going to be seeking the largest tax cuts in American history. Again, we, from close to 40% down to 21%, now we're bringing them down to 15% if you make your product in the United States of America.
Did he just say what I think he just said? Hallmark 5 is a cult of personality. If you speak German and you've ever watched any of Hitler's speeches, you have to admit that the dude had more charisma than Charlie Chaplin. He used rhetoric, propaganda, and lies to embolden the German people. This created a cult-like, unwavering loyalty from his followers. Hallmark 6 is racial or ethnic superiority.
But now it's my honor to address you for the first time as your 47th President of the United States. Right on. Begin by thanking Matt, and they changed him. I'm the only one that ever had to beat two people. Had to beat two. We beat two. I didn't beat. You beat. You beat two people.
That did not just happen. I must be seeing things. Hallmark 6 is racial or ethnic superiority. World War II era German culture was built on the idea of Aryan supremacy. Official policies openly discriminated against Jews, disabled individuals, and many other groups deemed racially inferior. A system of systemic oppression based on intrinsic qualities was established. Hallmark 7 is scapegoating.
She's fighting to keep men in women's sports. You ever see what happens to a woman when a woman boxes a man who transitioned to womanhood? Did you ever see what happens? It's not pretty. It's not pretty. Let her do that fight. Let them all do that fight. That will end birthright citizenship for the children of illegal aliens. Because it wasn't meant for these children. It wasn't meant for people that escaped or invaded, came into our country illegally. So I wish people would understand that so they could get this thing approved and we don't have millions and millions of people coming into our country and they shouldn't be here. This week I also canceled temporary protected status for migrants from Haiti. And they were coming in from prisons and mental institutions and insane asylums, jails, and gang members. And over the past few weeks, we've begun the largest deportation operation in American history, larger even than that of President Dwight D. Eisenhower, a very moderate man, but he was very strong in that. He didn't like people running into our country and taking over our country. I made it the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. I banned men from competing in women's sports. We banned the use of puberty blockers, hormone injections, and other chemical and surgical mutilation of your youth.
Is Trump trying to prove something here? Hallmark 7 is scapegoating. The country's ails and woes were all blamed on these minority groups. It was the Jews, the communists, and other minorities that made the bad stuff happen, including Germany's defeat in World War I and economic hardships. The weight of the populace's unrest was put on the minorities. Hallmark 8 is violence and intimidation.
That have been occupied by illegal alien criminals from all over the world. We're rescuing the Americans whose jobs have been stolen, whose wages have been robbed, and whose way of life has been absolutely destroyed. And under the Trump administration, our country will not be turned into a dumping ground. We're not going to do it. We're going to have a great country again. It's going to happen soon.
I really think that Trump is trying to tell us something. Hallmark 8 is violence and intimidation. In 1934, many of Hitler's opposition were executed in the Night of Long Knives. Those who survived quickly fell into line with Hitler's master plan. Hallmark 9 is state surveillance.
Captain John Paul Jones, I have not yet begun to fight. And neither have you. So together for the next 4 years, we are going to stand strong. We are going to work hard. We are going to fight, 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 and win, win, win.
He did not just say,
Captain John Paul Jones, I have not yet begun to fight. And neither have you. So together for the next 4 years, we are going to stand strong. We are going to work hard. We are going to fight, 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 and win, win, win.
Okay, I guess he did. Hallmark 9 is state surveillance. Utilizing the Gestapo and other state-run agencies, the government spied on its citizens. They also used citizen watchdogs, so everyone was watching everyone. Dissent was monitored and punished. Hallmark 10 is religious endorsement.
I've ended all of the so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion programs across the entire federal government and the private sector.
Okay, fine, dude. I get your point. You can stop. Hallmark 10 is religious endorsement. The World War II era German government was generally hostile towards organized religions, except for the Reich Church. That church aligned Protestant Christian theology with the state's ideology. And that concludes our look into...
That's true. Now Franklin Graham's angry at me. You know that. Franklin wrote me a letter. He said, I love your speeches. I love them so much. But they'd be better if you would never use foul language. And I told him, I said, Franklin, you know, Franklin Graham's a great guy, by the way, does a great job. The son of the great Billy Graham, right?
If you haven't figured out what Trump's trying to tell you yet, I literally cannot think of a way to make it more clear. By the way, every single one of those clips is from the same speech. And that concludes our look into how to spot a fascist.
Du meine Arbeit für richtig hältst, ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe, dass ich mich in diesen Jahren für dich eingesetzt habe, dass ich anständig meine Zeit verwendet habe im Dienste meines Volkes. Gib du jetzt deine Stimme ab. Wenn ja, dann tritt für mich ein, so wie ich für dich eingetreten bin.